Hello, welcome to Music Theory Part 4. In the previous lesson, we learned that we could extend the harmony of a triad by adding an additional third interval to make a seventh chord. As you may have inferred from this, we can continue extending the harmony by stacking additional third intervals. When the harmony goes above an octave, we refer to it as extensions. Extended harmony includes 9th, 11th, and 13th intervals. Extensions can also be altered, such as flat 9, sharp 11, and flat 13. Some examples of extended harmony include major 7, sharp 11, and dominant 7, sharp 9, flat 13. As you can hear, extended harmony creates richer and more complex sounds that are often found in jazz and sophisticated pop music. Let's go through the diatonic chord progression in C major with all the extended harmony. The one chord in C major would be a C major 7 with extensions 9 and 13. We exclude the 11th because this creates an undesirable dissonance against the major third of the chord. Musicians will often simply write this as C major 13 because the major 7th and 9th are implied. The 2 chord would be D minor 7 with extensions 9, 11, and 13. This is written as D minor 13 because the lesser chord tone and extensions are implied. The 3 chord would be E minor 7 with extension 11. We skip the flat 9 because this creates an undesirable dissonance against the root. A quick note about the flat 9 interval. The only time a flat 9 interval is generally desirable is on a dominant 7th chord. Other than this, it is usually avoided. We also avoid the flat 13 interval because this clashes with the perfect 5th. The 4 chord would be F major 7 with extensions 9, sharp 11, and 13. This is written as F major 13, sharp 11 because altered chord tones and extensions are listed later. The 5 chord would be G7 with extensions 9 and 13. Again, we skip the 11th interval because it clashes with the third of the chord. This is simply written as G13. The 6th chord would be A minor 7 with extensions 9 and 11. We skip the flat 13 because it clashes with the perfect 5th of the chord. The 7th chord would be B minor 7 flat 5 with extensions 11 and possibly flat 13. Now that we know about extensions and altered harmony, we can begin learning about the minor tonality. As you learned in Lesson 3, the 6th mode, Aeolian, is also referred to as the natural minor scale. When musicians talk about relative major and minor, they are referring to the natural minor scale and its relation to the major scale. While natural minor may be regarded as a tonality, it is actually not a key center in and of itself. The reason for this is that it has no naturally occurring 5 dominant 7th chord, which we learned in the previous lesson creates the affect of a true tonality or key center. The way to create a minor key center is by altering the parent scale so that there is a dominant chord and a leading tone that resolves to the 1 minor. The leading tone is essentially a major 7 scale degree that resolves up to the root in a 5-1 cadence. There are 2 minor scales that accommodate this change: harmonic minor and melodic minor. Harmonic minor is like the natural minor scale, but with a major 7th interval as opposed to a minor 7th interval. This creates the distinctive augmented 2nd interval between the minor 6th and major 7th scale degrees. The melodic minor scale has both major 6th and major 7th scale degrees. In classical music, melodic minor becomes natural minor when descending, but in pop and jazz music, it remains the same regardless of direction. Now that we know about the minor scales, let's discuss the diatonic chord progression and modes. The natural minor scale, which is essentially a mode of the major scale, has the following diatonic chord progression: 1 minor 7, 2 minor 7 flat 5, flat 3 major 7, 4 minor 7, 5 minor 7, flat 6 major 7, flat 7 7. These all correlate with the relative major scale and its diatonic chord progression. For harmonic minor, the most useful mode and chord is the 5 chord and fifth mode of the scale. This scale and chord are typically utilized when playing over a cadence in a minor key. For example, if we are in the key of C minor and we play a G7 flat 9 chord, C harmonic minor from the fifth degree will work perfectly over this. The modal name for this scale is Mixolydian flat 9 flat 13, but musicians will often refer to it simply as harmonic minor from the fifth degree. You can analyze the other chords and modes of harmonic minor, but they are much less utilized and are not necessary for basic musical proficiency. Melodic minor modes and chords are much more commonly used, so we'll dig into them a little more deeply. The one chord in melodic minor could either be minor major 7, which is a minor triad with a major 7, or minor 6-9. In a 6-9 chord, the sixth interval replaces the seventh. The 3 chord in melodic minor is major 7 sharp 5 or major 7 augmented. The modal name is Lydian augmented. The 4 chord is dominant 13 sharp 11. Its modal name is Lydian dominant. The 5 chord is dominant 7 flat 13. Its modal name is Mixolydian flat 13. A note about flat 13 intervals in dominant chords: the flat 13 will often replace the perfect fifth interval so that the chord sounds augmented. It is possible to have both the perfect fifth and flat 13, but it is much less common. The 6th chord is minor 11 flat 5 with a natural 9. The modal name is Locrian natural 9. The 7th mode and chord are quite special and often used. It has a few names, but the most generic is simply altered, as in altered chord or altered scale. The reason for this is that all of the altered chord tones are represented in this scale. It has a flat 9, sharp 11, and flat 13 or sharp 5. It also has a major third and minor 7th, so it is a dominant chord. At this point in the course, we have covered the majority of theory needed to navigate tonal music. Congratulations on making it this far. We have just a few more topics before completing the general theory course on this channel. In the next lesson, we will learn about symmetrical scales and harmony. Make sure you are able to apply the concepts we have learned so far on your instrument before moving on. In the meantime, happy practicing!